and we'll wait a few minutes for folks to start coming in. But welcome. If you feel comfortable doing so and want to say hello in the chat, and maybe tell us where you're from, that would be helpful. We'd like to always see where people are coming from, and we'll get started in just a few minutes. Our topic today is makers from Mexico, and we have three folks on the panel, but in early August, I was in Puebla, Mexico, attending the Fab 24, kind of the convention of Fab Labs. And it was wonderful to meet lots of people. It was wonderful just to be in Puebla. I had a nice time going to dinner with one of our guests here, Antonio, and had wonderful food. So again, and I see Camila and Diego Luna. I got to meet with them in person, sit down and talk, and I'll be publishing a podcast with them later this week. But good to see them, both of them from Moonmakers and from Mexico. But again, welcome everybody as you start to come in here. If you want to, please say hello in where you're from in the chat, and we will get started momentarily. So, a couple of things that I kind of want to mention to folks. In the Bay Area, we're working on Maker Faire, Maker Faire Bay Area, which is October 18th through the 21st at Mare Island. So we're working on there. But if you are in Mexico, there are several events coming up there. One of them is Itera Tech, which is held at 6 linked college campuses with a hub in Monterey. It's something to do with Maker Faire on September 17th and 18th. So coming up here next week. And then CDMX, Maker Faire Mexico City. Antonio is an organizer of that, and that's happening October 12th and 13th. And then Merida, Yucatan has an event on November 28th. So those are some of the Maker Fairs that I know of in Mexico. We've had them in Jalisco and some other places, but we haven't had that one more recently. So I'm going to introduce, if you would bring Antonio on. And again, welcome to everybody for joining us. I appreciate you coming. I appreciate especially those of you from Mexico joining us and here. Welcome, Antonio. How are you?
Hey, Dale. Great to see you again. How are you doing?
Thank you. Good to see you. So Antonio is the founder of Hacadores.com, and which he founded in 2013. I also saw from your LinkedIn that you have some urban beekeeping projects doing. That's kind of fun. And I got to meet in person Antonio in Puebla, Mexico for the Fab 24 conference. And well, he took me to a nice dinner, which I'm very grateful for. And but we were on the same panel and we got to talk about education. And it was fun just to chat. We also were joined at dinner with Eric Pan from Seed Studios. So it was a very nice time and a really nice trip to be down there. So if you maybe just start and explain what Hacadores.com is and how you started that and what you were trying to accomplish.
Yes, sure. Well, I'm very glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation and very great to see you again, Dale.
Thank you.
Well, everything started with an Arduino, you know. I just wanted to play with an Arduino, and here we are now. So we started as a online blog. So we put some information, translations on some other articles from Make, obviously. And then we started to organize some massive events. You know, the Arduino Days, was a very popular event we used to organize here in Mexico City, and many people gather around, and that was amazing for us. Was not something expected to have so many people, and they started to feel, like really makers. There was a coincidence. There was a coincidence in the people around this event, and most of them started to ask, what can we do now, where we can share our knowledge, where can we see each other again, etc. And that's why we start building or creating our makerspace. Our makerspace is in the heart of Mexico City. It's just in the main square. And that was 10 years ago, and we started with this wave of makerspaces all around the world, with the same business model, the subscription and workshops, etc. Doesn't work as any other place in the planet, as I already know. But here started to come many teachers and students, and they were taking some ideas for the college, and they just came some teachers, and they said to us, "Hey, we need one space like this one in our new school, because this is an learning environment, and that this is what actually we need in our remodel school." So that's where we started the first makerspace in a school in Latin America. It was built here in a Mexico City school, and that started a big wave that is still is going on, building creating maker spaces in the schools. So we are specialized mainly in maker education. Everything mostly starts with a maker space. We also give training for teachers and kids and students. And we are always all around the maker movement activities and promoting what you already teach to everybody.
Well, it's grateful. In many ways, it's taken a while for some of this to get started in Mexico, and but it is starting to flourish, and I think it's partly from your efforts and others, but it just takes a while sometimes. But can you, even in education, can you talk about how do you how do people hear about this, and how do they want a makerspace in their school, and what do they think it is, and what do you tell them?
Yes, sometimes sometimes it's very easy. The only thing you need to do is to make them make things.
Yeah.
So when they make a different thing, maybe soldering, maybe just vinyl on a textile, and something different, you can see that in their eyes. So if you show them some Arduinos or microbits or something that could be different from the daily use of technology, they will be amazed. So certain point is relatively easy, because all education needs transformation. Everybody knows that, and I know this is the time to do it. So maker movement is coming. Even I have a conference I call the maker movement is two revolutions in one. The industrial revolution, but the education revolution. So they are just getting the point very precise time. So there are many schools in Mexico with maker spaces. I think should be around 300 maybe.
Wow,
So,
that's quite a good
so
number.
yeah, so maybe I'm sure if you have a school, maybe your neighborhood the school already has a makerspace, so they are starting to compete with the market, the students market as well, and they need to be on the same level.
Right.
So there's a boom now of makerspaces in the school, by that I
Right.
mean, and obviously it reflects in the learning of the knowledge and skills that students get in these spaces.
Um, well, but I understand you work primarily with private schools. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It's mostly what we work with them.
Yeah. Um, what keeps public schools from
Oh,
adopting makerspaces?
actually, yesterday I was with a high executive from public schools, and even he says it's very, very complicated. It's a huge elephant. They have millions of personal teachers and thousands of schools in Mexico. I think it's the second largest institution here in Mexico after no, even not military. Maybe it's the first one, but it's very difficult to move it. So this change must be from the up
Top.
to up
Yeah.
top to the
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
So obviously it's economical. Yeah, economic issues is something important. And what do you remember in our conference in Puebla, where I was concerned about this big gap we are creating between the private and public school is making even bigger and bigger. So I don't know, as I already said in the conference as well, I don't know how to get the public students in the same
Yeah.
level. So
Yeah.
it's
You know,
really
I
complicated.
think this is really a tough thing because a lot of, well, probably like me, and we don't have unlimited resources to be able to make change, and it requires a lot that we work with people who come to us, right, and say we're interested. Going out and convincing, administrations, school administrations to do something new is really a different. It's hard, and it takes a long time. And I hope they eventually come around, but it is maker movement has been much more built by bottom up, by who shows up, right? To be interested. You said it in that way. It's kind of easy because people already want something. They know what they want, and they just want help getting it. Um, Fighting the battle of we don't have the money, we don't have the time, we don't have the space is another challenge. Well, I'm glad you're making some headway. I always think some of the real exciting stuff is just seeing what the kids do, right? Um, it's nice to get the teachers into this, but be able to walk in a classroom and see kids making things, as you said, it kind of speaks for itself. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and if you would introduce our second panelist, Judith, and we'll bring her on, Jamie. Can you tell us a little bit about Judith and how she um, connects with you?
Yes. Hello, Judith. How are you doing?
Hi, hello, good afternoon. I'm so happy to be here with you. Nice to meet you,
Well,
everyone.
Nice to have you, Judith.
Judith will be it's a maker that will be showing their creations in the next Maker Fair here in Mexico City. Will be held in October 12 and 13. Everybody's invited. And Judith is one great maker who is going to share with you some of their biomaking creations.
Yeah, biomaking. Wow. Tell us, Judith, what kinds of stuff do you do and how'd you get into it?
Basically, um, it's funny to say that I'm like making gelatin,
Yeah.
sculptors of gelatin, because of all the materials are of or organic elements. And also my curiosity began when I was studying my baccalaureate degree, and I started to put on my paints and my sculptures elements like I don't know, flowers or some pieces of wood or some elements. I don't know about the grass or the natural elements.
Yeah.
And I'm start to wonder what if that it's the question when all the creative process and the experiments begin with the question, no, what if I do something? I began to fabricate some of kind of sculptures of how can I say, like a type of clay
Yeah.
made with sand, specifically of a park that I visit with my dog. But I visit one studio based in Mexico City that is called Biology Studio. Is the first studio in the city specifically that start to teach us a process of creative process realize about the how can I say it, like the artistic biofabrication. I started to feel kind of weird in my school because of I bring my living sculptures, and my friends start to say, your art is so stinky, and I don't know how the funky friends are growing up on your art, and I don't know what you're doing. But when I came in my first course in biology studio, I found out one way to prepare some material. Also, in general terms, we called biomaterial, but in different recipes, we call it like a biotextile or biopolymer or celluloses. And I start to develop one material that is similar of epoxy resin. This is like a plastic, and I start to wonder how what happened if I start to doing some process, a sculptor process, but also to start to bring to the academic spaces or and the creative spaces some of these techniques. And I start to develop some uh, like workshops in different universities, and also in like private spaces in also in my atelier. And I start to develop this bio process that is called one of the names of my project also is called biopolymeric sculptures. That is the all the flowers that I've been fabricating. This is made of gelatin and with natural pigments like marigold or red cochineal and other
So
plants.
are they made in a mold? Do you?
Yes,
Okay.
I use some molds like different plates. Also, you can see these plates. I fabricate these like plain. This is some plain uh, like materials, but I start to work with the molds and looking for other forms of the material. How the possibilities, which are the possibilities, sorry, of the materials. So I'm so curious about the question, what if I do a material of any kind of also of material, but I'm start to teach this process. Also, is that I'm so happy to be here in the fair because of I want to show all the process
Mhm.
like the behind the scenes of the process, and that the attendees can participate in the process, in the making of, and see that these materials that is in a sophisticated form to call is biopolymer, but I call it gelatin because I do it like in my kitchen, and with all yes, also with the tricks of the cuisine. No, I do uh, I take like how can I say it, like the techniques in Mexico say it like the mañas of the kitchen to prepare some gelatin of any kind of food, and I bring this process of the laboratory because I didn't mention it that the biofabricating process also brings the opportunity to the artist to like appropriate of the spaces like a laboratory and bring to the atelier and do the workshop with some of the methods of the scientific method also,
Mhm.
or the experiments. And I think that the combination of experiment and creativity bring a lot of possibilities, very illimited.
That's great. Thank you, Judith. I loved how you talked about asking what if, and it sounds
Yeah.
like that's kind of you're exploring what kind of materials you can make and then what you can make from those materials, biomaterials. Well, we'll come back to it. I want to, say hi to everybody who may have joined late. We're talking about makers in Mexico. And particularly these are a couple of makers who will be at Maker Fair Mexico City in October. Why don't we bring on Felipe and we'll introduce him. If you have questions, put them in the chat, or elsewhere. There's a Q&A thing at the bottom of Zoom. You can put it in there. Hello, Felipe.
Oh,
Uh, you're on
you're on
mute.
mute.
Hello, Dale. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. Hola, Antonio.
Now, tell us a bit about yourself and what you do, what you make.
Right. Well, I'm a graphic designer, and as a hobby, I do some whittling. That's wood carving um, with knives. The definition of whittling is carving wood with pocket knives or knives. So try not to use doubles and heavy machinery to carve them for the strict aficionados. That's what whittling is. And wood carving would have any kind of tool to shape the wood. Right. I started with this. This is a joke on the internet because most modern whittlers, we started with dog linkers videos. Dog linker is a whittler, a wood carver, and most modern person that's whittling today started with that. And one day I was watching YouTube, I saw the video, and I went for my broomstick, wooden broomstick, and I had a red pocket knife and started whittling away, and it caught me. And it caught me, and 7 years later, here we are.
That's great. And were you going to share some images with us from your Facebook?
Sure. Give me a second. Please be patient. All right. 1 second.
It'll probably blow things up, but
No, I hope not. I hope not. All right, we are here. And 1 second. All right.
There
I'm
we
gonna
go.
show you really quick some stuff. I'm gonna be passing the stuff and I will be explaining. This is from the latest content to earlier.
Mhm.
This is a big magician. This
Hmm.
is the start of the process. That's a future troll. We will see images now. If I'm going too fast, please let me know.
Looks good.
I started whittling, but later, when I had to register my trademark, I had to define a specific role. So the best role was wooden toys and figures, and I loved it. I always wanted to build toys. These are some container ships. That's a troll, small troll, and general figures. I like to carve everyday objects and try them to replicate the real thing.
How long does it take you to do a troll?
Um, like this one, around without painting, like could be from 15 minutes to 3 hours.
Hmm.
Something more complicated, we will see.
Mm-hmm.
More shipping, more ship. Sorry, got excited with the shippings. That's a trollina, and that could take around 2 hours plus painting. Painting is very easy, but you have to be patient. Some tools. That's on the background. You can see the knives, some doubles. This is funny because you can change the nose from a small one to a lighter one. I like to make them interactive, like you can change backpacks. In this one, you can change the sword.
Very interesting.
Yeah, here's like what the process looks like. And I learned everything from the web. I am a self-taught person. I finished high school and superior high school before college, and I prepared my exam for college myself. And I have always been self-taught, and the information online is amazing. It changed my life in 1995 when I discovered the internet, and that's what's so wonderful now. We can learn anything we want. I never thought I would be. This is my army of trolls. It's a future production. Let me advance a little bit because I want to show you. This is my last year acknowledgement of the Maker Faire. Maker Faire. This is the work my workshop in 90 square meters apartment. I have a small studio, and I have all the machines required, like scroll saw, 3D printer, all kind of tools. I have it here. It's a very small space, and that's what I do in Maker Faire. I present the small machines and equipment for people to see that they can work from home, something like wood. This is one of the small machines we present in Maker Faire. and how it cuts. We will see right now some people interacting with that in the Maker Fair of last year. That's my father. That all this is people from Maker Fair that approached to us and start making stuff. We had a great time. I love to teach. I love to be in contact with people. And it was a great experience to present and receive everyone. Here's Maker Fair. And some people showing some small pieces they cut it on the small scroll saw, and then we placed them on the small laser engraver, and they made keychains, earrings, all kind of stuff. Here's some girls using the machine. This is a perfectly safe machine. You can put your finger there, and it's gonna be fine. Don't worry. It's gonna be fine. And some sanding.
Machine.
What is that machine?
Yeah.
That is give me memory.
Jigsaw.
Proxon
Is the maker.
Is the maker.
Okay.
Yes. Some other makers, and
good. Well, thank
yep.
you.
You're welcome.
That's great to see your work, and I think the theme that strikes me from your work in particular is that you're self-taught, and how you learn from the internet today. And it has to be a major driver of the maker movement, is that people can get online and find people who do something and be inspired by that to begin doing something yourself. And because we do learn from each other so much. I mean, we can learn from books and things, but when you see someone do it and show you how to do it, you just kind of can figure out, maybe that's something I can do. So, Antonio, how long have you been doing Maker Faire?
Well, this is going to be the second time.
Second?
Yeah,
okay.
Second time.
And it looks like you do it in a park.
Yes, it's a very nice place. It's the National Arts Center here in Mexico City, and they have a huge garden. It's very nice. It's in the outdoors. It is composed by some tents in all the fair, and we hope we have a very nice weather in these days, and that's it.
Weather is always the challenge sometimes, but you probably will have good weather. It's interesting as you begin to do it year after year that people who come to the fair sometimes come back as makers the next year and say, I want to show what I do. And it's very satisfying to see that just sort of grow that way. Judith, what was your experience being at Maker Faire Mexico City last year?
Also, it will be my first time.
First time this year. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm so happy. I'm so nervous, but so much happy to share with you and with everybody with come with us this experience because of I discovered that the science, that the engineering, the design, and the arts is not separated things or concept or techniques. Is too much connected that we know, that we wonder, and I'm so happy to be here for the first time.
That's great. It's nice. I always thought that part of the value of Maker Faire is to be able to talk to people like you, right? Not just see like work on a table and say someone did this, but to say, Felipe, you made those trolls, and it took you time to do that. And ask a question like I asked you, how long does it take you to do that? Or, how many can you make in a day? Or, Judith, how many, how did you figure out to make that material? And then how did you experiment to get the kind of color or shape or things that you're working with? People have lots of questions like that, but they don't get to ask them. And the only maybe negative thing of YouTube sometimes is just can't break through and answer that, ask that person a question right away. And you can put it in comments, I suppose. But it's wonderful to be in that environment. And even though the two of you do such different work, you could feel a connection, creative connection to each other and the kind of work you do. So, Antonio, how many makers do you think you have coming up in October?
We are expecting to have around 100 makers showing their creations.
That's great.
And around 15,000 people coming to the fair.
That's great.
And yes, and let me add that the presence of Felipe last year was amazing, because he moved all his workshop to the Maker Fair, and as you already said, is not only see a web page or a book, but someone who teach you there that you can make it as well. So
yeah,
it was very, very nice here.
Yeah, I'm glad you got to show us that picture of your workshop in your apartment. It's a clever use of space, right? Of just figuring out, how to fit everything in. So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do you think you have coming up in the show?
Yeah, well, we are going to have some conferences, a lot of workshops. What the most we like is to see the people of all ages making things, making stuff there.
Yeah.
So anything you look around, everywhere you look around, you can see making stuff. Some people really with this, you're very accustomed maybe with this bright eyes when they realize they are completely focused on what they are making, and that's wonderful when they finish their piece and say, wow, I made it, I make it.
I know. You're really giving them a kind of experience that a lot of people could have but don't, right? They could do this, and I think, just with Judith and Felipe, you could kind of see there's an artistic side, there's just there's a process side to this, like how do I do it? And it's kind of a procedure is what I'm looking to say. There's a way to do this, and you can learn to do it, and you can apply it in different things. Let me just iterate, because we're getting to maybe the last 20 minutes or so we'll be together. If you have questions or want to comment, please raise your hand, or say something in the chat. Or I see one question. Oscar wrote us, said, Dave, or maybe Dale, why do you think in Central America we don't have that many maker fairs? It's a good question. I've kind of, over the 20 years or so, of doing this, we've had more in Europe and in Asia than in Central America. We have had them. And sometimes they go for 1 or 2 years and don't come back. I don't have a ready answer for that, but I always, one of the answers is, hey, it's really hard to do this. It's worthwhile, but it's difficult. Antonio, do you have any answers for that question?
Yeah, well, it's complicated as well, because what I can see in other countries, more developed countries or developed countries, is maybe people has more time for their hobbies, I think. So here in Mexico and some other countries in developed, we need to work a lot of all day around. So sometimes it's difficult to make some stuff maybe for hobby, or maybe to make the effort to be in a maker fair like all the makers are going to make. So I think some aspects are the time and money as well. Some to have a hobby requires you to have time and money, so you can spend both in that way. So could be this could be two factors about it. And also, as you already mentioned, is the inspiration. So we are provoking more and more people to realize they can make things and to like. We are just getting some few testimonials from visitors to the Maker Faire last year, and it's very nice to hear that and son saying that Maker Faire changed their life because
Yeah.
now he's studying engineering, or she or he now knows how to use some machine or some profession that they didn't know exist.
Yeah.
So we are, I think this is right in the heart of the development of the country in all the educational and economical and time aspects of
Yeah.
our lives. Yes.
But I will say, another answer is that places like Europe, sometimes the government puts money towards our art events, and it's just we don't have that in the United States either. So it really is a community thing to try to find people to put this on and organize it and stick with it. So it can be a challenge, but I, something I talked to Diego and Camila about is I always felt a little bit of the problem was that a lot of the information about making was in English,
English.
and we didn't have enough of it translated into Spanish, and that it just takes a while in some ways to the fundamental pieces have to be generated, in Spanish by Spanish speaking people, right? And that helps, it helps to do that. And I would bet that people come to your fair from other parts of Mexico or, another country and think, well, why don't we do that in our, state or district? So I hope you influence other people as well.
Yeah, are
All
coming
of
from
you.
Colombia, Costa Rica,
Yeah.
people coming from to the
Yeah.
fair from other
Um,
countries.
Andy Barrow has a comment and a question. He says, an American living in Mexico, I've always been impressed by the culture of don't throw it away, repair it. And how do you think that affects the acceptance of maker culture in Mexico? Just something that we talk about, I think, quite often is being able to repair or harvest components from old things. Is that something you've seen, Antonio?
Yes, yes, it's very common here in Mexico in our houses to have a toolbox, because here in Mexico, people is used to fix their anomalies in their home, the
Right.
plumbing and all the stuff. So we are manitas, we say in Mexico, we are like handymans and women here in Mexico. So as a kids, we used to have always a toolbox. Maybe it's changing these times. Let me tell you, because this toolbox is not in many houses right now. But I see Felipe and Judith saying yes, because maybe in their houses were this toolbox that used to be the first tools we had. No.
Yeah. You're nodding a lot. Do you want to comment?
Yes. Also, it's true. All the Mexicans say like, don't throw it away. It works. O sea, no lo tires, todavía sirve. Y como also like the Grammy or the granny or the abuelita says,
Mm-hmm.
don't throw it, mijita. We can fix it. And I remember that my dad the did me presents about tools. I have a hammer. I have all the Allen keys and all the like the tools and instruments to fix anything. It's funny because of I can do like the handyman work being a girl. It's we don't have any difference of gender difference. We can do the work of the electric work or the plumber or anything. We can because we don't treat the things away. We can fix anything. And I
Yeah.
think that it's the like the pretty thing that all the makers of Mexico or the Latin makers it came up with the fair. Sorry, my
Yeah.
my is barking.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. But I think you kind of raise up another point is it's empowering to do this, right? That you know how to do these things. And I think that's kind of the core here. But I'm thinking this might relate even to the other question. Um, People don't always value doing this. Like they think, oh, I fix it because I can't buy something better, and but instead of saying, oh boy, I can fix it, it's being proud of that. And I think of making and other things as like it's almost well, we'd like to change the cultural value of that in some ways, so people appreciate themselves doing those things and their friends and neighbors doing those things, recognizing it. Because even you mentioned Antonio that sometimes in different economic sectors, you don't have the time to do that. But often they're very creative and makers of things because they have to be on one hand, but they don't often see that's something to be proud of, right? It's something almost to hide or, like I have to do this. So, at any rate, it's just a couple things in here, a couple nice comments in here. One from Marco Butron says, I want to thank Antonio for running the Maker Faire. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for us to go to the States. And that just moved off there. Where did that jump? Oh, otherwise, it's hard to go to the States and visit on the fair. So thank you from Marco. And where did I see that? Governments should make this kind of events happen. I went last year to Mexico and had a great time. I'm from Guatemala. This is Oscar. And it was a great experience. It took my team and quite a good experience for them also. Well, we'd love to see government support for this, educational support. Um, I think this is all required for us to embed it deeply in our culture. Let's see, I'm scrolling through. Let's see, Isidro asked, how can someone join the Maker Faire in Mexico? Is there a website link? Yes, there is. Probably type in Maker Faire CDMX.
It's already there.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's there. That's answered. But and for those who don't know, we usually maker fairs have a call for makers, an open application process, and I would say that our goal is just to understand what you're bringing and what the requirements are. Or need electricity or water or something like that. But it is a really open process. Let's see. I saw a question that it skipped there for Judith. There we go. Question for Judith. How do you prevent your sculptures from breaking down or biodegrading? Or maybe they just are meant to do that.
In Mexico, we said that's the million question. I don't know if
$1 million question. Yeah.
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 Esa es la pregunta del millón. Because this was my first problem when I started to develop these organic biomaterials. I have a lot of a lot of the samples, the materials. I start with some things like this with a level of fragility too much and in a scale of 1 to 10, this like 5 and this is 10, and this took me like I think 4 years to get this recipe, and I use one to the sculptures I sell, and or the things that I don't know, I give as a gift. I tell to the person that it needs to be like in some of period of time, we have to took back to me the sculptor, and I do like a process of I don't know how to say, like um ay se me fue la palabra, como remanufacturar, no, como bueno,
Refurbish.
I
Yeah.
I like do a process to prevent to the microorganisms grow up, and like prevent with others materials as a conservative, because of the weather and the temperature and the other elements about the environment can also can break the material, or the material can change. As you can see, I have like the Morticia orchids. This is the Adams family flowers. And this I compare with this, that is like a I can say is a fresh sculptor, and this have a like a period of 2 years, and I do
So
like
they
a
age. They age. They get.
yeah, it's like I love it because of it's like a living sculptor, because of the capacity of the material to take other forms, and I start to put like skeletons of metal inside of them, because I didn't do that in this first sculptor, but I do that in that flower. Also, I think that you can see the metal inside of the tail. And I do a lot of experiments. My method of investigation is based in the proof and mistake. And I don't know how to say it, like experimentation and proof, and the eternal look for the eureka. I can say that.
Okay. All right. Just to read a comment from Rodrigo says, I run a makerspace for a middle school in our second year, and it's nice to see students work with their hands and tools and feel empowered. The maker culture will prevail. Thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you for doing that, and it's important. Esritos, as I spend some time with the Guadalajara Makerspace, GDL, will there be a maker fair coming to Guadalajara anytime soon? I don't. The last one was in 2019, and I heard good things about it, but it hasn't continued. So maybe ask around and see what happens. Let me get Diego Luno's question. He's really excited about Maker Faire. What types of projects can we see at this year's event, Antonio?
Yeah, so will be projects from all the making areas, from woodworking, biomaking, electronics, robotics, of course, a lot of artistics and educational as well. So there's a lot of themes about what else, aeronautics. You already can check out the webpage with all the makers. It's getting filled the page in the website, so you are able right now to see who is going to be there, and we are putting more and more makers as they are getting subscribed to the event. Everybody does this at the last time, but so this is the last 30 days where we are really working on the event because everything is approaching and everybody is now taking action to get into the fair and their projects. So there's a lot of areas you can see in the website.
Yeah, great. We have a comment from Espinosa Nunez Margarita. I'm really glad that Felipe participated last year in this fair and that he's doing it again, probably. It is a great opportunity for a lot of people whose creativity is astonishing. And I think that's a great comment, Felipe, that both the people recognize your creativity, but also your participation in Maker Faire.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. There is a Spanish language question for Judith. I'll let her answer that. I thought an interesting kind of AC, and I'll just read the first sentence of his comment. It says, seems that much expertise from Latin America doesn't flow back to the US. And I think that's kind of an interesting comment. I would wish that it does. I can understand that it probably doesn't. But one of the things that kind of like at least as a vision for the maker community is that we can, particularly online, easily share what we do. And we search for things and look for things. And doesn't necessarily, language is a barrier. So if it comes up in Spanish, an American is not necessarily going to read that, but we also have Americans who speak Spanish that are looking for solutions that they need as well. So it's kind of a challenge, an open challenge across the world, but it is wonderful. I think I always feel this way about fairs. If I go see them in person, I get to see meet the makers and see the things. And if I'm not there, it's really hard to do that. So, all right. Well, we are coming up here on the hour. I just want to thank everybody for being part of this. Carlos asks, is the Maker Faire free to attend, or is there a cost? Do you have to get a ticket? It's free?
It is free, completely free to attend. Yes, you can.
That's amazing. Okay. So no reason not to go, but
hey,
I always like to see Maker Fairs charge a little bit of money. It's hard to get money to do these.
Dave, I have a question for you.
Yes.
In the White House, when you were there, Barack Obama make a question nobody answered. What is the E after the fair? Yeah, nobody answered that.
Well, to be truthful, we have fair, Fair, in English, and that usually means like a county fair of like pigs and cows and horses and that kind of thing. There was Renaissance fairs, which are, they're spelled in the old English fashion, like Faire. But the best answer that I ever heard, which had no reason why I chose fair to spell that way, fair in French is to make.
Really?
But it's actually, maybe it's a good way out here. Hacadores is a somewhat a Mexican equivalent to maker, but on your sign, creadores, inventores, there's lots of words that mean this, and even Felipe used the word tinker, like tinkerer has a certain meaning. In French, it has bricolage, bricoleur, different meanings. Sometimes they're disparaging meanings, like they're so it's interesting to have, what is this? Because you're really getting back to like, what does the culture think of this, right? Where does it put it out there? And anyway, I just hope our cultures value makers, and appreciate all what Judith and Felipe and Antonio you're doing. Thank you, everyone. Actually, I see that's another good question. Are there sculptures, Judith, that are edible? I thought of that earlier, but didn't ask you. And would they be bad if someone eats one, if they're not edible?
Sorry, I was typing the answer.
That's fine. Okay. Okay.
In Spanish and in English,
Yes.
but I'm gonna answer in English, and let me share the answer in the chat also.
Okay.
Sculptors are free or chemicals and toxic elements. Also, my dog are the quality tester of the biomaterials, because when I'm working and in my workshop, in my atelier, sometimes the pieces fall to the floor, and he came and start to eat them. Also, I do some test in water. The materials, how can I say, they degrade, and they biodegrade in hours, in 12 hours, and they are compostable also, and you can bury them, and they no, they degrade in a time of 3 months, approximately.
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
you can eat the flowers.
yeah. Okay, good. Well, thank you for answering that. Everyone, thank you so much. I'd love to stay in touch. I'd love to continue to see more and more makers and more and more maker fairs happening in China. So best to all of you. Thank you, Antonio, for helping me organize this, and thank you for being on this. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
coming on, and
Thank you.
we will see you soon.
Okay, thanks so much.
All right.